stands like a rock undaunted mid the raging storms of time. Its pages burn with the truth eternal, and they glow with the light sublime.
Sodomy is the homosexual activities of men, or they say any sexual relationship between a human being and an animal. And the root word of the word sodomy is Sodom, the city of Sodom in the Bible. Mga minamahal, yan po ang ating tatalakayin ngayon. Ang sabi nila, ang kasalanan daw ng Sodom ay hindi homosexuality, but inhospitality. And with no further ado, my friends, the title of the Bible stand today is The Sin of Sodom. My friends, is the sin of Sodom homosexuality or just inhospitality that we can find in Genesis chapter 19 verse 8, which says, "Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you," Lot here is speaking, "bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto this man do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof." Now, this is considered, as they say, as one of the difficulties in the Bible because of the usage of the word no. Thus, this is being used by the skeptics to question the inerrancy of the Bible. But as Christians who believe in the infallibility of the Word of God, my friends, how do we answer this to clear away such obstacle to believing that the Bible is without error and consistent in its teaching, right? Because some have argued that the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was inhospitality, not, they say, homosexuality. Ano ho ba talaga, kuya? They base this claim on the Canaanite custom that guarantees protection for those coming under one's roof, as Lot here declared. Lot is alleged to have referred to it when he said, "Don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." Sounds good and okay and makes sense. Now we can find in Genesis chapter 19 verse 8. So Lot right here offered his daughters to satisfy the angry crowd in order to protect the lives of the visitors who had come under his roof, just to, so that these people who would like to force him to give to him his visitors will come down and be settled down. And who ba talaga ito? Who ba talagang hindi homosexual but inhospitality? Now, what is this, my friends? Because some also claim that the request of the man of the city is just the word to know. It's very clear, to know. Simply means to get acquainted, since the Hebrew word know, yada, generally has no sexual connotations whatsoever. And the cross-reference right here, they say, is Psalm 139 verse 1. My friends, there is a seeming contradiction right here. Well, how do we explain this? While it is true that the Hebrew word know, yada, does not necessarily mean to have sex with, nonetheless, my friends, this is the point. In the context of the passage on Sodom and Gomorrah, it clearly has this meaning, my friends. This is evident for several reasons. First of all, 10 of the 12 times this word is used in Genesis it refers to sexual intercourse, like in Genesis chapter 4 verse 1 and Genesis chapter 4 verse 25, which says, and Adam knew his wife Eve in verse 1. And in verse 25, and Adam knew his wife again. The word yada or no was used here, but it refers to sexual intercourse right here. Secondly, it means to know sexually in this very chapter. Why? For Lot refers to his two virgin daughters as to having known a man in verse 8, chapter 19, which is an obvious sexual use of the word, right? And thirdly, the meaning of a word is discovered by the context in which it is used. And the context here is definitely sexual, as is indicated by the references or the reference of the wickedness of the city right here in chapter 18 verse 20, and the virgins offered to appease their passion in chapter 19 verse 8. And fourthly, know right here cannot mean simply get acquainted with. Why? Because it is equated with a wicked thing, right? In chapter 19 verse 7. And fifthly, why offer the virgin daughters to appease them if their intent was not sexual, right? If the man had asked to know the virgin daughters, no one would have mistaken their sexual intentions. And sixthly, right here, God had already determined to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, as Genesis chapter 18 verse 16 to 33 indicates. Even before the incident right here in chapter 19 verse 8. Consequently, my friends, it is much more reasonable to hold that God had pronounced judgment upon these cities for the sins they had already committed. Namely, what? Homosexuality, my friends. Than for a sin they had not yet committed, that is inhospitality. And my friends, this is according to Norman Geisler. And that's the explanation right here. It's clear right here that the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah is not just inhospitality, but homosexuality, my friends. And that is the point right here. Now, what is the lesson we can get from the Bible stands today? Folks, the Bible indicates right here that the city's wickedness had been going on for some time. Genesis chapter 18 verse 20 and chapter 19 verse 13 tell us that the outcry caused by these people's sinfulness had become great. Talagang nagalit na ang Diyos, umabot na sa langit ang kasalanan ng mga taong ito, indicating that an amount of time had transpired while the judgment built up against them. God's hesitancy that we can find right here to bring judgment against them can be seen as an act of mercy on God's part, right? By giving them more time. God expected Lot to be an influence on their society. Lot should have been preaching the truth of God to them, to those people, because Lot lived there. However, my friends, by the looks of things right here, he failed to do this. Oh, my friends, may we not do the same in our society today. Why? Remember, we are the salt of the earth. Remember, we are the light of the world. There was a bargain, right? Right here made by Abraham, but God found not 5 righteous, not 10 righteous in the city. That's the reason why God destroyed the city. As we all know, my friends, and very clear right here in this simple explanation, as always, the infallible Word of God is dependable. And because of this, we can confidently plant our feet on the firm foundation of the Word of God. Why? For it will always and surely stand. The Lord bless you, my friend. Until then, this is your brother and your friend, Pastor Luis Antonio Sejo, Senior Pastor of OJBM Church, right here in our short Bible study, Somehow Apologetics, the Bible Stands.
The Bible stands, though the hills may tumble, it will firmly stand. When the earth shall crumble, I will plant my feet on its firm foundation, for the Bible stands.